For this month, we are going to pay homage to the old-timey detective murder mysteries written by the world's best-selling author, Agatha Christie. And this book shows in all its glory the Roaring '20s, a decade filled with extreme contrast, the aftermath of World War I, the status of aristocracy, or let's call it by its ugly name, feudalism, as a dying hierarchical socioeconomic structure, and an intriguing whodunit murder mystery which a bunch of rich kids want to solve. Welcome back to Girl, What Did I Just Read, the podcast where we read books by women and queer authors, spiral about fictional people, and always admit that the problem is usually men. Welcome back. I have with us, as usual, the lovely Shaggy.
Hi.
And I'm Katie.
Happy New Year to everyone. Yeah, to all our listeners, a very happy New Year.
Yes,
Yeah.
Happy New Year. Welcome back. We are still here cranking out these videos. I think we have about 25 followers on YouTube, which is great. And I'm happy to report that our last episode, episode 7, where we covered ACOTAR, is our most popular episode yet, followed by the Buccaneers and then Binti behind that in terms of views. And this is only, that episode's been out 2 weeks or less, so it's pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We touched like 100 views and oh my God. I mean, it's not about the views. It's just the fact that people have the patience to go through these long form videos where we are not giving you punchy lines and some kind of overstimulation. Like, this is what I call gentle podcasting. Yeah, no wonder Amy Poehler, her podcast, Good Hang, no wonder it won the first Golden Globe for Best Podcast. I mean, yeah, people just want a gentle, good hang. And I hope we provide that. All right, people. So, last month, as Katie mentioned, we covered A Coat of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Our first romantasy. It was amazing. We loved it. It's episode 7. Please check it out. It's really, really, really fun. But last month we were dealing with the otherworldly and the fantastical. We were dealing with a meta version of human drama, but it was unfolding in the form of fairies who are immortal and magically powerful. We were covering like high politics, fake kingdom drama, magical bargains. And of course, since this is the genre of romantasy, we had to be introduced to certain male main characters, some of them who desperately need therapy, or at the minimal self reflection, and then evolve a little bit to self awareness and yeah, be a good person. But anyway, this month we are heading to 1920s Britain. This was immediately after the First World War, which was fought between 1914 to 1918. So, 1920s Britain, this was a time where secret societies, Nepo babies, a general wariness when it came to Germans and Germany, because as we all know, World War was fought between the Allies and the Central Power. I'll not go into the history of World War One, but yeah, basically we are dealing with a lot of secrecy, intrigue, political intrigue that was going on during this time. But on the flip side, as Katie mentioned, the 1920s were a decade of extreme contrast. While we are dealing with these heavy, serious matters like war and the aftermath of war and how do people come to terms with it? How does the economy from its downfall, then again, how does it become prosperous? So if we see one side of it, it was so heavy and it was so much. I mean, the loss of lives, the loss of resources, it was such a seriously heart-wrenching time because war. I mean, come on, look at the world today. I don't even need to say much. But anyway, you contrast that to the life of Nepo babies. Oh, the only thing that I've ever wanted in this life is to be a Nepo baby. Yeah. I mean, look at their lifestyle. These Nepo babies, they have an allowance from their whole parental estate structure. They don't need to have any profession, any job, unless it's just a title job to like seem a little cooler. And yeah, imagine you have late breakfast because you're in no hurry to get to work. Do you even have to work? No, you have an estate. The feudal system is benefiting you, Nepo babies. So imagine their life like late breakfast, sleeping in, afternoon cocktails. I mean, can we do anything productive before afternoon cocktails? And yeah, with these kind of like, how do I say, purposeless people, there often happens what is known as drama. And this book deals with country house drama, like a large estate. Imagine acres and acres of woods and gardens and everything lovely. Oh my God. Can we like feel how heart wrenching it is for me to not be a Nepo baby? And yes, because all of these people are purposeless and basically have a lot of time to kill, in this book, it so happens that a suspicious number of rich aristocrats end up doing strange and weird crimes. One of the crime being murder, because this is a detective murder mystery.
That was a great summation of the time and Nepo babies. And now we know how you really feel. Maybe in your next lifetime. I believe in reincarnation. So maybe you'll be, you know, a Nepo baby in Britain in your next life.
No, I was actually thinking that maybe I am a reincarnation of a flapper girl in the 1920s.
That
Like,
makes sense. Yes.
what if my soul has the remnants of being a Nepo baby? Like, what if aristocracy is like in my, stardust soul level, which is why I miss it so much because it was a past life. I'm so sure I would have been one of those flapper girls who would have like probably engaged in some low stakes espionage. Like, yeah, low stakes espionage. And I would definitely work, because mm, why not take the opportunities of guys being gone during World War One? Take them
Yep.
jobs, girls. Take them jobs. Oh
Yes.
yeah,
Except for,
and
yeah. Huh?
since I would have been an aristocrat, come on, I would have been a suffragette at that time. Yeah. What would I
Yep.
use all of that good money for? I would go the Greta Thunberg way.
I love it. I love it. Cool. Yeah, this month we're cracking into a classic mystery, The Seven Dials, or full title, Mystery of the Seven Dials by Agatha Christie. Think house parties, coded messages, and the strong feeling that everyone knows more than they're saying. It's a fast and clever story set in 1920s England, full of secret groups, suspicious behavior, and people who absolutely should not be trusted before their second cup of tea or afternoon cocktail.
I'm going to keep saying afternoon cocktail for no reason except for the fact that in my own present life, I couldn't fathom having an afternoon cocktail during a weekday. This
Unless
is
you're
a
on
rant of
vacation.
yeah, yeah. Unless I'm on vacation, which come on, uh, shout out to the Buccaneers episode. We are still living an 8 into 8 into 8 life, and it's not even as distinct as 8 8 8.
Yes,
Technically, with
please watch that
commute and
episode.
yeah, technically with commute and everything, we are working or doing something related to work, which I include commuting as well. We are doing that for almost 10 hours, I would say, roughly. And yeah, then what other time do you get? And look at us dummies working exactly like how people were working 100 years ago with no technology. But we are like, yeah, such dummies. Continue the same system. Yeah, anyway, now that, yeah, go watch the Buccaneers episode and also watch how today's hustle culture has not changed for the last 100 years. Don't, I'm just saying, take a deep breath and self reflect. It's horrible. 100 years and no change? This shows complacency. Shows complacency. Anyway, so today we are going to keep things relatively spoiler safe because, I mean, come on, it's a whodunit. You kind of have to to really enjoy it. You kind of have to do some of your own mental gymnastics in order to understand what character would have what motive also in a way resonates with you, because that's how you're able to figure out okay, this motive means this to me from my perspective. So how would this character move around, and how their motive, which is potential energy, be turned into kinetic energy by the way of actions. And those actions can be good or bad, like murder.
And of course, we are also talking about Agatha Christie herself, including her very real, very strange disappearance in 1926.
Also, let's not forget, we will be talking, as we usually do in our gentle scholarly way, we're going to talk about the themes during this particular time period. We're going to talk about the themes which occur in this book, which predominantly populate not just this book, but any kind of a whodunit mystery. Because these are all formulaic in nature, but just because something is a formula doesn't mean it's basic. I mean, all of art is derivative in nature. So basically, this genius of a woman, Agatha Christie, she understood a formula and made different combinations of amazingly mind blowing storytelling. I mean, okay, so I was discussing the fact that, for January, we are going to be doing an Agatha Christie. I was discussing this with my dad, and I was like, imagine, Papa, Agatha Christie, someone born in the 19th, midish 19th century, and writing such fabulously intriguing stories. Like, imagine the life of a woman back then, like the life of an average woman back then. How would you even have access to, say, the resources to even educate yourself on how to do storytelling in a way that it can get published, that it is mind blowing enough to make you a world's best selling author? I mean, besides the Bible and William Shakespeare, and both of these have eons and centuries of head start compared to Agatha Christie. But besides these two, Agatha Christie is the world's best selling novelist. It's crazy awesome. And that is when my dad told me that, you know what, actually, World War One was going on. Women were involved in so many jobs. Even if they were secretaries, they were sifting through really important information. And guess what? Women are smart, even if they didn't have the right to vote in the 1920s. So, since they are smart, maybe they can put 2 plus 2 together and then use that in their own venture of being a novelist and storytelling.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think I think I kind of knew this when we delved into the book, when we finished reading or listening, in my case, and again, we'll go and give our kind of personal reviews later, but I knew we were going to get more into Agatha than actually the book. So,
Yeah.
I do want to say, viewers, what I am doing as the editor, a lot of the Agatha stuff, I'm separating into bonus videos. So if you've never seen our channel before, we always release the main video. And then a few days after, we'll release a bonus video talking about a certain aspect about, obviously, the book, the author, things like that. So definitely keep an eye out for those videos. Obviously, I don't know how many they're going to be because sometimes we just end up going off on tangents, and sometimes I'll have like 4 bonus videos, and sometimes I'll have 1 or 2. Anyway, please check those out when they come out. Also, and thank you for bringing up, gosh, what episode number was it? Was it 4 or 5 when we did the Buccaneers?
Oh
Was it
gosh,
4?
we've done so many episodes that now we
I
have to
know.
like rack our memory. That's
This is
so
because this is
awesome.
8. Yeah, so in this one, hold on. This episode,
The
ACOTAR,
fourth episode.
Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, spooky book. Yeah, 5. I think it's really cool. I do feel like if you're interested in these topics, especially about the history and about Agatha, that you go back and watch episode 5 and especially some of our bonus videos, because we didn't even mean to do this, but Christie, being born in 1850, she was one of the babies of, like, what is it, that era? I guess she was obviously lived in England. She was born in Torquay in 1850, but the themes that we talk about of like the aristocracy, and her family wasn't titled, but they had a lot of money for a while until her dad you know did some whatever dealings, or I don't know, I don't remember how, but he just lost a lot of their money. um but she was dealing with a lot of the things that the characters in the book we read in episode 5 were dealing with, um especially some of the younger characters, because I guess maybe her parents would have been a little more the age of those who were contemporaries of like the Gilded Age. But it's just really cool because this is a continuation, I feel like. So talking about societal themes and political themes and even themes we're going to talk about in the book, coming from that era of Christie's maybe like parents, and then being a child of the Gilded Age. I mean, I know Gilded Age is considered United States, but what I guess it would be the Victorian era over there. What was that? Like the 1850s to early 1900s, I guess, was the Victorian era, right?
See, the thing is, whatever era it was, or whatever it was called back then in Britain, the point was that dollar princesses were coming into England and changing the landscape, changing the social landscape, changing the political landscape, and also changing the fact that how aristocracy was looked at. Because if we see now, we are slowly diluting what is considered prestige into money, like transactional matters. Like you need a dollar princess for the upkeep of your estate. Your entire like estate, upkeep, livelihood, status in society, your title, all of that hangs on to the fact whether you marry a rich woman or not. And so if we see the dilution of this, white snobbery prestige, and how this dilution happened because capitalism was becoming the theme of the era. Feudalism wasn't working anymore. And yep. So, in order to get on with the times, we will slowly understand that the 1920s were, even though they were roaring 20s, and of course, why would we not shed light on the fact that, oh, it was so fun and the war had ended. So everyone was like living as if it's their last day on earth. And people were being gluttonous. And if you could have a lavish lifestyle, why not? So, yeah, crazy times. And considering how crazy those times were, the 2020s we are living in, these are roaring 20s version 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
what's happening?
Yeah. Are we copying some of the same themes? I mean, I really hope we're not going to war. That's for sure. But us millennials, we have been through enough in our lifetimes. We got the short end of the stick. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So again, you're bringing up capitalism. We have at least one bonus video of us ranting and me on some soapbox about that from episode 5. So check that out. But what we wanted to bring up was how we decided on this book. So it was early December. We were kind of mapping out what we want to do in this coming year. So we'll stick to one episode a month being released whenever that is, whenever I can finish editing. And what was it? I had mentioned, hey, let's try to start doing books that have to do with popular like movies and shows that are coming out. So occasionally, or popular books, so we can kind of jump on the bandwagon and get that SEO, use those hashtags, get some more views, but also books that interest us that we'll have things to talk about. And when we were discussing this, the Knives Out movie, Wake Up Dead Man, was about to come out, and you had watched it first, and so you said that in the in the movie, and knows you got to watch the movie; it's so good. I mean, all you audience, we've seen it, but there is one of the people in the film have a written list of different mystery books where they may or may not have used some of the plot lines in the book in this film. Anyway, two of them were Agatha Christie. So we were gonna
Yeah.
do one of them, and then I was like, let's do one a little more popular, but not the big three that have already come out in film. So not the Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, or Haunting Venice.
Yeah.
And then we found out that the Netflix was taking this book and adapting it. What is it? It's a miniseries, right? Because you watched it. I haven't watched it.
It's a limited series, only 3 episodes. So
Yeah.
it's not stressful and it's really well made. Like, if you don't want to read this book, just watch the series. You will
Yes.
get a slightly different storyline in terms of how the characters interact with each other. But besides that, I mean, you know what? This show, it's so engaging that you would want to put your phone down. And honestly, is it not fun if someone talks like this? Wait, let me get into my British persona. Katie, would you fancy an afternoon cocktail before we go for our hunt? By God, I'm so damn parched.
That was good. That was so good. Yay. Yeah. So then we found out, and then we looked into this book, and I was like, boom, done. Because we also wanted to do an Agatha Christie book where they had already made it into a show or a film. And I have BritBox, and so I was cover it. But then we found out this was happening, and so we're like, all right, done, because then we can kind of ride on the coattails. So today, when we're recording, the show came out. Today's the 18th of January, 26th. It came out the 15th. But yeah, and it looked awesome. I will say it's technically part of it's number 2 in a 4-part series, but each book is a standalone. So that way I felt like we didn't need to read the first one. And I read the overview of the first one, and the only thing about that ties, there are pretty much two things that tie all these books together are, number one, the main characters and I guess detective, right? So we have Superintendent Battle, but and we'll introduce her as well, our main character, our protagonist, Bundle, she's in it as well. And then the what is it? The estate it's called Chimneys. That is also like a recurring character through them, but you don't need to have read them. I will say it's so easy to find the Agatha Christie books on Kindle Unlimited, on other free library platforms, all the audiobooks. Not saying I necessarily support Spotify's views, but I am an audiobook hoarder because I have long commutes every day. You can find just about every single book of hers for free, like on Kindle, if you have Kindle Unlimited, on audiobook sources. Obviously not Audible because they're going to charge you. And I know Kindle Unlimited, you have to, I pay a monthly fee for that. Anyway, it's so easy to find all of her books. I mean, even just to find the PDF copies online. So there's no excuse to not. I listened to the audiobook, and I did start to read the book, but the audiobook was just so good. I chose the most recent one. It was narrated by the main actress of this Netflix show who plays Bundle. And she did all the voices, and she did a phenomenal job. And maybe that's also why I really enjoyed it, because I've said before, I'm very picky when it comes to audiobook narrators, as I'm sure many of us who listen to audiobooks are. So TLDR, Easy to find. It's book 2. You don't have to have read the other one. I am interested. Now I'm intrigued. I am going to read or listen to the other 3. And yeah, so let's get into it. This is actually a really good synopsis of the book that's on Agatha Christie Wiki. And so the synopsis is, I have to do it in character. A house party at Chimneys ends badly when one of the young guests dies. The official verdict is misadventure, but Bundle is not so sure, and she and some friends set out to investigate. More people die, and through it all, a persistent clue is 7 dials, whatever that means.
That's a really good one. No, let me also let me like get the last of my British impostering, and yeah, let me murder their accents a little bit for colonizing India. Anyway, all right, you governors listening, why don't you take a moment, ponder a little bit, and gently sway towards that subscribe button, you jolly good old sports. Lovely, lovely, just bloody lovely.
Bloody lovely, you ass. That was another thing that we found in the book. They keep calling each other asses. Like, was that? I guess that was just like
Shouldn't they call it arses instead of
yeah, right.
asses?
You're right. I didn't even think about that. Maybe arse was considered too lower class. I don't know. British people weigh in. We don't understand. Yeah, because it's arse. They call it arse. Maybe ass is
Yeah.
like more of a lighthearted dig instead of saying like you dolt or you know, nincompoop or whatever. I don't know. There's just a lot of posh people. Too many dumb British nicknames that make no sense because that's what these folks like to do. And they still kind of do it today. I find the upper class English, they love to give each other these nicknames, but you're like, what? Why are you called Bundle? And we still don't know why our main character Bundle is called Bundle. Her
It's
name is
called
Lady
bundle.
Eileen. And then Socks. There's a girl named Socks.
Yes.
No clue.
Why?
Anyway.
So now we will get into the broad summary of the book, like the broad strokes of what's happening and what kind of characters there are going to be. Because trust me, there are a lot of characters. There are a lot of rich aristocratic people populating Agatha Christie's novels. So basically, the story of the Seven Dials mystery begins at a party house in a grand estate called Chimneys. Now, again, I mentioned an estate considers of a large manor, acres and acres of gardens and woods. It also consists of agricultural land where land is given on tenancy and a certain portion of the produce by the agriculturalists is paid as tithe or taxes to the owner of the estate. And owners of estates are generally, like I said, of the aristocratic ruling titled class. So you would basically see these grand estates, their owners being a lord, a duke, a viscount, a baron. So there were these varying like levels of um being in the ruling class, but basically these estates were really, really, really large. I mean, I don't think we city folks will ever be able to understand the magnificence of so much open space and all of it belonging to just one family. I mean, it's crazy. These people were, the 1% billionaires of today. And how funny that, like I said, we are reliving the roaring 20s in the 2.0 version. So back then we had these kind of estate owners, and today we have our billionaires. So way to get exploited, the common
And also
masses.
I would say think Downton Abbey. I don't think that this estate was as big, is supposed to be as big as like saying Downton Abbey, which is what is it called? Highclere Castle in southwest England. But same concept, actually same area. These types of estates, chimneys, actually, which I did want to bring this up, the real life locations they have used for chimneys before, because they did make it into a film in 1981, obviously with the Netflix one. The closest that they could find to use to really represent this, as per the description in the book, Badminton House in Gloucestershire, and that was used for the Netflix adaptation. Oh yeah, and then also they did this story as an episode for Miss Marple, which is one of The two famous detectives that Christie wrote, obviously Hercule Poirot being one of them, and Miss Marple. And so in the 2010 version of that episode, they used Hatfield House in Hertfordshire. So, which isn't that like Downton? Not Downton. Isn't that Pride and Prejudice area? Like, didn't Lizzie live in Hertfordshire? Hertfordshire?
Yes, she did.
Yeah, they were these sprawling historic English country houses, but notably, the style at that time when it was built, these homes were built, some of them they had these very large chimneys that would stick out really high above the
Oh,
roofs. So that's why I don't want to say it didn't look like Downton Abbey, it didn't look like Highclere, but the concept of having that much of an estate and grounds and staff. Especially to put it for those of us who aren't familiar with that, or our only concept of that is TV, which would be Downton Abbey.
exactly. Like these estates were large enough to have the concept of upstairs and downstairs. Downstairs being the servants who were basically running and ensuring the maintenance of the estate. And imagine there would be 30, 40 staff to cater to just a family of, say, two or four or five. So, like, you can see how stark the class divide was. Like, an army of people serving a few, again, billionaires of today. And how do they get all of their money? Is it ethical?
Poor people.
Was feudalism ethical? I mean, is one person owning such a large estate? Did that come through ethical practices? I mean, as a colonized nation, India can say that a lot of our capital was recapitalized over there in order to have these large estates. How ethical was colonization? My, how we are reliving terrible times. Fun.
I do feel like I think like in the 13, 14, 1500s, like the medieval times, maybe this could have worked, obviously. But now in the more as we got to the more modern times, as we got to 1800s, 1900s, it wasn't working anymore. And also because again of all those changes we talked about earlier with the like industrial revolution and the steamships and airplanes connecting connecting Europe and the West, and our influence on Great Britain as well, westernizing them a bit more. So yeah, my 2 cents.
God, the history of this time is actually crazy. And when you try to make sense of it for that time, and then you try to make sense of it for these times, it's almost trippy how you see the patterns in life, pattern recognition. Okay. Coming back to the story, I mean, seriously, what you were saying is so true. More than actually getting on to the plot of the book, I'm more interested in what was happening around those times.
I was just gonna say this. Like, I think we can say, go read the book. It's good.
I know.
There's just
Yeah,
so
it's
much
like,
more to talk about.
yeah, I have constantly been going into tangents and constantly segueing from just starting the
Yeah.
actual plot of the story. All right.
I think you can do
Focusing
it 5
now.
minutes because we said no spoilers anyway. So, and you don't even need to go into all the characters. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, Netflix did it a favor by cutting some characters.
Yes. All right. So this story begins with a lovely posh house party at Chimneys estate. And the owner of Chimneys estate is a man called Lord Caterham. Now, this Lord Caterham at his estate, Chimneys, he has invited a couple of really, like, hip, young, aristocratic, new age kids as guests. So one of the guests, and I'm saying one of these, rich, aristocratic, titled, really like indulgent lifestyle, gluttony and what do you call it? Gluttony and debauchery to the maximum.
And
These are the kind of young aristocrats that we have in this story. So one of the aristocratic guests, Jerry Wade, he has a habit of oversleeping. Generally, he would never wake up before noon. And all of his friends who are over there, they would be waiting for him at breakfast. And I mean, I don't think it's harmful to oversleep, but I guess these people were like, let's play a jolly old prank on our good sport governor, Jerry Wade, because he's oversleeping and we like to breakfast with him at 10 a.m. But boggers, that man, he sleeps till 12 p.m., noon, just before our afternoon cocktails.
And I think, hold on real quick. I think, did it say how old they were? From what I gathered, they were all about in their mid to late 20s. I think the girls were
Mid
a
to
little
late
younger.
twenties.
I think some of the guys were pushing 30 or in their early 30s. But again, just life of leisure, you know.
Yep. And I mean, come on, when you have a life of leisure, how much growth do you even have to go through? Like, I mean, how much do you even have to experience hardship in order to, have, yeah, growth in your life? But anyway, well, this oversleeping man, Jerry Wade, his friends want to basically play a prank on him, a practical joke, if I may say so. And they play this practical joke by buying 8 alarm clocks. Yes, back then technology was present in the form of alarm clocks. Automatic alarm clocks, I mean analog, but they worked on their own. You didn't have to like wind it like the grandfather clocks. So they wanted to play this prank by placing 8 different alarm clocks in his room set to one particular time, 7 a.m. And at 7 a.m. in the morning, all of these 8 alarm clocks, which have been hidden into different parts of his room. Like, say, one clock is in his closet, one is below his bed, one is behind his vanity, one is, it's just they hide it all over his room. And yeah, the practical joke is at 7 a.m., Jerry Wade will wake up absolutely terrified. He will wake up absolutely terrified at 7 a.m., woken up by 8 alarm clocks. I mean, God. Maybe it's a personal thing, but I kind of hate pranks. I hate planning them and I hate executing them and I hate like either being in the receiving end or the giving end. I don't know why. Do you like pranks? Were you a pranky person in high school or like middle school?
Yeah. I don't like being pranked, but I like doing pranks. I mean, nothing crazy. I didn't go toilet paper or egg anyone's house in high school. We would do car chalk. I've had my friends car chalk me. You know, those like it's like basically markers for car windows that are safe to wash off. I've had certain things written on my vehicle that I've woken up to the next morning. um and yeah, just I don't even remember, but I like pranks, harmless pranks like the alarm clock thing. I thought that was pretty funny of them.
I thought it was so irritating. Like, I hate these kind of, insensitive, inconsiderate, and downright assholes early morning people. Like, if you're a good morning person, yeah, if you have healthy habits as a good morning person, fine, I'm cool with you. But like, these kind of morning people who are like so effing snobbish about having like a basic routine of like waking up a particular amount of time. I mean, yeah, morning people losers. You were not like, being night guards outside like magnificent castles, protecting the common masses like you morning people from harm, like from invasion, from intruders. I mean, fine. Okay, maybe now we don't need to keep a watch, but evolution so happened that that yeah, a certain set of population can't get together with the idea of being morning people. And I'm like, these people are such assholes. I know why they call them asses, because they really are assholes. This kind of a prank, I would cut all of them off from my life. And I would begrudge them so much that I will like take my mini vengeance, okay, in like yearly plans. Like within 2 years, mess with this guy. Next 2 years, mess with that person. They will be in my like blacklist. It's like how Arya Stark keeps in Game of Thrones, Arya Stark keeps mentioning the names of everyone she wants vengeance from.
Oh, I
I would
love
not be
that.
this
Great
simple.
analogy. Yep.
I would keep repeating those names and I would not forget the atrocity of being woken up at 7 a.m. by 8 alarm clocks. And those old timey eight alarm clocks which they blare in such a horrible like way. I hate all of these people. Like I literally
That's
hate
funny.
them. And I also hate how they kind of like project uh, waking up early as like, being a machine. A human has to like work efficiently like a machine. So we are not machines, okay? I mean, for that generation, we were not machines. And for today's generation, 2000s, we are not AI. So
Yes.
anyway, let me get off my soapbox.
So soapbox.
My
We should
soapbox.
start having a soapbox count. You know how many soapboxes we get on during one episode.
Okay, I'm
Which
getting
that's my
down.
favorite part of doing this. I love getting on the soapbox. I am so opinionated. And I've told friends this before that watch the show. They're just like, "Oh, that's so funny, haha." Especially when we talk about like feminist themes and things that we really political stuff we really get into. I just said, I don't care if really no one watches this. I just love yelling out and venting to the internet.
Exactly. I mean, also, we are not really shouting into the void. Like, this is two really intelligent, brilliant women, like, conversing about things that they would, like, not know unless really interacting with each other. And here we interact with each other after doing our homework. So we know our shit.
Yes, we do. We do. And we also message daily, so we send funny stuff. But then it's hard when we're like both reading the book or whatever. It's hard because I want to talk to you about it, but I know we're supposed to save it for this. But I'll still say stuff like, "Oh my god, if I could have thrown this book, I would have." Or I think I was a little bit ahead of you on this, so I wanted to tell you how excited I was about certain parts, but I didn't want to give too much away. So we do kind of chit chat, and we also somewhat decide ahead of time, obviously, what we're going to talk about. But then it's just very organic. We do our soapboxes, we do our rants, and then after our scholarly investigations.
Exactly. You can put this oversleeping part as one of our bonus episodes.
Yeah,
Me
right.
just
We could go on
ranting.
so long. Ranting,
Yeah,
okay.
because I'm just like ranting randomly on.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's funny.
So,
So then
okay.
they realized that he wasn't waking up.
Yes. So the twist that happens right now. It so happens that the next morning there are actually 8 alarm clocks blaring at like literally the most high pitchy sound you can ever hear. People are able to hear those alarm clocks across the estate. It's that bad. So these alarm clocks are blaring. The rest of the household is reasonably up by now or getting ready for breakfast. And everybody notices that, damn, these alarm clocks are going on for a really long time. Like, whoever is using them in their room, they're not shutting it down. Like, they're not stopping the alarm. And it goes on and on. And now, the group of friends who played this prank, they start freaking out. I mean, naturally, they are freaking out. They are like, first they try to dismiss their fears, They are like, oh, maybe Jerry is such a great oversleeper that he's not able to hear any of the alarms. Or one of them is like, oh, yes, old sport, he is an oversleeper. So, like, they're kind of like trying to dissuade any kind of fear that they have. But one of the servants of this estate household, his name is Treadwell, he goes to the room of Jerry Wade and he finds Jerry dead in his bed. And the apparent story, or I won't say the apparent story, it is kind of like obvious that on his nightstand table, Jerry had placed a sleeping draft. That's what they call it in this book. They basically mean a sleeping potion or some liquidy form of sleeping pills. So it kind of looks like maybe he took this sleeping draft and possibly overdosed on it. I mean, they were not able to find out anything which would indicate foul play because this entire party that was going on. And reminder people, during these times, party does not mean like one night. Party means like across a week. Like you would spend one whole week lazing around and partying and lounging. That's what a party meant back then. It wasn't some silly one night affair. Nope. Parties went on for a really long time. And like you could lounge by the lake and fish a little bit and sunbathe and do all of those amazingly nice things.
Real quick, and actually, I meant to look this up prior, just real quick. So, what he took was, and it's still around, it's called chloral hydrate. So, in the book, they refer to it as chloral, and his was a liquid version of it. It's an old sedative slash hypnotic used for short term insomnia and pre surgery sedation. So, this stuff is like pretty potent. It says it's rarely used now due to safer alternatives. They do make it in pill form now. It says it has a narrow therapeutic window and its potential for dependence, tolerance, and side effects like respiratory depression, requiring caution and medical supervision for its use. So likely he took it. That's what it was supposed to be set up to look like. He took the sleeping draft, this person who was sleeping in every morning took a sleeping draft.
Jerry.
And probably what happened was the respiratory depression. So he probably was suffocated to death by the overdose of it,
Yep.
supposedly.
So damn
Allegedly.
tragic death.
Yes. So that's, yeah.
So very, very tragic. And now, since they can't really find any signs of foul play exactly, the official verdict is that it was death by misadventure, which is, I think, a euphemism for accidental death. So now what happens is that our protagonist, Lady Eileen, also known as Bundle, and yes, I mean like bundle, like Bundle. So she's one of those characters who have these like funny nicknames, these like inside joke nicknames that nobody knows where they came from. But anyway, this is the point where this person, Bundle, gets involved in this entire situation. So we need to understand that Chimneys, when this house party was going on, Chimneys was being rented to a family. Like we have to remember that after World War One, aristocracy was declining. I mean, it was not, while the lifestyles were still lavish, you could slowly see the entire social structure of estates, tenants, agriculture. All of this was kind of changing because we need to remember that during World War One, manufacturing played a very important role. And manufacturing was one of the ways tradesmen, like people who were in the trading class, like people who had jobs and professions and had to like earn money in order to like have a livelihood. These tradesmen trading class, they profited a lot, and they might not have titles, but through this kind of profiteering from the war effort, they were able to rent these magnificent estates just to live in them, like just to chill. Like, oh, for a year, let's just stay at this lovely estate called Chimneys. And it so happens that the owners of Chimney actually need the money because, like we said, being a lord doesn't count much anymore. And it's going to count lesser and lesser and lesser, definitely by the 1940s, 1930s, 40s, when, Asian countries started getting their independence. Colonization was no more an acceptable thing. So, yeah, protagonist of this book, Bundle, she takes an immense amount of, how do I say, interest in the fact that this guy, Jerry Wade, he essentially died in her bed. Like the family that they were renting out to, this house party, Jerry Wade was a guest and he was living in Bundle's bedroom. So she was a little irked, like, oh my God, I'm coming back to my house after it's been rented to people for a while. And like this sort of thing happens in your house and it happens in your bed. I mean, freaky, freaky, freaky. So she takes
Yeah.
a
Cause
little
she
bit
was
of.
living off site, right? So with her father, cause like they were renting this out to like obviously make money to keep up the place, but they were living at a smaller place. But was she
No, they
kind
were
of like part of the
holidaying.
party?
They were
Right.
holidaying.
Yep.
That's why they were not there at Chimneys. It's a good lifestyle. Like while you're renting your estate, just go on a European holiday.
I've done that. I've done that before. I've rented out my apartment to pay for a 2-week honeymoon in Ireland and Wales and England.
Damn, Katie, very aristocratic.
That's when I lived in downtown Austin. It was also kind of illegal, but I knew who it was. It was a woman in town on business, and her company was paying for it. And I had known her online through work. We'd never met in person. So it was a pretty sweet deal because we could charge a lot because her company was paying for it.
That's really smart. Very smart. As smart as Lord Caterham.
Thanks.
Yes. So now their mutual friend, Bundle's mutual friend, these young aristocrats, they were friends with each other just randomly by virtue of being rich and by virtue of being in the same circle. So now Bundle is like, okay, this person like died in my house. Weird, weird, weird. And it so happens that when she goes back to her bedroom and starts living over there, like how she usually does, she finds a letter in one of her table and chair setups, like her reading and writing setup. There she finds a letter, and this letter is apparently by Jerry Wade to his half sister. Her name is Lorraine. So anyway, basically we get introduced to this other character, Lorraine, for some reason. Bundle gets suspicious because the letter is kind of mysterious and it mentions the phrase 7 dials. And she's wondering, like, what is 7 dials? And also, she doesn't believe that Jerry could have possibly overdosed on like a sleeping draft because he was naturally such a good sleeper. She was like, he wouldn't need an assistance, like he wouldn't need a substance to like do this was the general idea. I mean, she Bundle was feeling a little iffy about what had happened. What happened after that? I forgot.
Okay. So what happened after that was she realized that they had had 8 clocks. And when they went into the room, after, I believe even after the police had been there, Bundle's curious, also bored as hell because she's in her 20s, has money, doesn't have to have a job. She's not married off yet. Thank God. Thank God for her. And she is the one that starts involving herself, which is also why what I did like about this was, we do not have the typical like Hercule Poirot. We don't have Miss Marple. We have just this bored, inquisitive, smart young woman that decides to get involved, because I guess it, involved her home and involved her in a way, but she notices when she goes back into the room that there are 7 clocks lined up, not 8. And she looks out the window and sees one of the clocks had been thrown into the back garden, the yard, what we'd say in the States, in the yard. And she was wondering who would have thrown the 8th clock. So then she says, wait a second, 7 clocks, 7 dials. This was not, an accidental overdose of chloral, basically. And also what they then thought had happened was someone put the chloral in his water glass in the night. And in the night, because I guess he had been known to drink water, he went glug, glug. That's when he, unbeknownst to him, took the chloral. So now Bundle's like, okay, what is this 7 dials, right? So we've got her. Then, she also introduces her father, Lord Caterham. I guess her mother has passed prior. Her father is funny. I really liked her dad. I mean, he doesn't add a whole lot to the plot except for, giving us some ideas and just his 2 cents. He's kind of an old codger, old British, but I thought he was really funny. He was one of my favorite characters.
I
And
honestly
then,
love him.
yes.
Honestly love him so much. I mean, the way Bundle describes her father, Lord Caterham, she says he is the picture of amiable inertia. How I wish someone would describe my personality as amiable inertia.
I don't even know. I mean, I get amiable, but then the inertia, I was like, okay, so it's like, yeah,
No, I
it
mean,
makes me think.
honestly, in order to have an amiable inertia kind of a personality, you need to be a Nepo baby. Otherwise, yeah, that indicates a lavish lifestyle. That indicates a lifestyle where you can be inert and you can be happy
Oh,
and you can be taken care of as well.
yes, that's true. That's true. But then we get to meet some more of the characters, right? Besides some of the girls like Socks and some of the other people, they end up not really being in the rest of the story, which is fine. But then our main guys, that we get to meet. I don't remember Ronnie,
Yes.
right? It's funny because I finished this
Ronnie
book a week
Devereaux
ago.
is the first guy. Ronnie Devereaux was in the group of friends who played this prank. The second guy who played this group prank, his name is Jimmy Thesiger. And the third important guy who played this prank, his name is Bill
Eversley.
Eversley?
And he's the dim one. So remember the whole book,
Yes.
this Bill, they're like, everyone says, oh, he's not very bright. Oh, he's dull. This. And again, what we are telling you are not major spoilers. This is all the beginning of the book. And then
Yeah.
Ronnie, we have Ronnie. Jimmy, Ronnie is, I guess, just there. We don't really get to know much more about him
So
because I'll let you get to that.
Ronnie works in the India office of the foreign embassy. So he looks after a colonized nation.
Yes.
Very
And then what happened to
interesting.
him? And then how does
Very
he meet his
interesting.
demise?
Yes. So the three asses guys in this plot line, Ronnie, Jimmy, and Bill, all of these three guys, they are like, they have that kind of a bro thing going on where they are like, you are a bigger ass. No, good old sport, you are a bigger ass. No, he's the biggest ass. And yes, the biggest dumbass in this trio group is this guy called Bill Eversley. So anyway, now important thing that happens is that Ronnie is found dead and he is shot. And this is mysterious. This is too coincidental. It is circumstantial. We can't connect the death of Jerry or even the fact that Jerry's death was possibly foul play. Plus, adding that to the connection with Ronnie's murder. Like, we can see that, the plot is thickening, the soup is bubbling. Like, yep, the pasta is al dente at this point of time.
And that's how it is with Agatha Christie novels. Just as an aside, I've been watching some documentaries on YouTube, and that's one of her things. It's a closed mystery, meaning it's like a kind of a closed group that usually you deal with in her books that she portrays. Majority of the time, the death or deaths happen they all happen at the beginning of the story or before the story has started. So this is her whole system for this book is very indicative of her, very similar to her other novels.
Yep. So now our protagonist, she's free, she has nothing to do, and she wants to be useful. Plus, she's really smart. Like, she's super smart. Being able to draw connections between the death of two of her friends, which happens in a really weird way. I mean, girl is smart. Okay, use your smarts for being an amateur sleuth. Why not? If wine mom gangs can do something, then definitely an amateur detective sleuth can do a lot of things. So she's driven by curiosity, and also she's kind of like a good person, driven by curiosity and the fact that she kind of wants to see justice for the kind of sad demise that her friends met with. What she does is she takes matters into her own hands. Classic Nancy Drew. Okay, though I don't know if Bundle came before Nancy Drew or Nancy Drew came.
Bundle came before Nancy Drew. I think I want to say Nancy Drew was like the 1950s. Yeah, so she's the OG
Cool.
Nancy Drew.
All right. So she takes this investigation into her own hands and she makes an ally who is part of the Scotland Yard Superintendent Battle. So these two super masterminds, Bundle and Superintendent Battle, then enter into the dangerous world of secret societies and what secret societies do, like what is their agenda, what are they trying to do, like are they trying to benefit themselves, are they trying to benefit an institution, are they trying to benefit some kind of a cause. Like, you don't know what these secret societies are up to and how efficient they can be. Like, I mean, come on, the concept of, like, can I say Illuminati?
Seven Dials is like a mini version of Illuminati and
Yeah,
they're so
it's like,
mysterious. We the readers aren't even privy to obviously who they really are. So it's very cool.
exactly. Yeah, so like think of this like as a microscopic Illuminati. And see, we have to remember these were politically tense times. The World War I had just ended. People were very suspicious of the Central Powers, Germany being one of them. And honestly, like even throughout this book, we see that German characters are kind of like people are a little wary of them. Like people's imaginations are going into the direction that like maybe this German person is associated with espionage, or like people
Yeah.
have these like their imaginations are running wild in these
Yeah.
politically
Well, the
tense
book was written
times.
in 1929. And so, yes, we're what, a little over 10 years off the heels of World War One. And unbeknownst to them, we were, just a few years from the rise of a certain dictator in Germany. And also the rise of fascism that was really like infiltrating the like kind of the West, but definitely Western Europe. And so a lot of people were really worried about this, worried about like the ideology and the things that who starts with an H. I don't even want to say it because I don't want to get blocked or banned, but that the speeches and the ideologies of dictator H were really infiltrating the society and politics at this time in England. It was almost like, I don't know if you remember, but it's in a lot of movies, especially like Stranger Things, right? So they were worried about the Russians. In the 80s, the Cold War was still going on until the fall of the Berlin Wall in like 89, right? So it's kind of the same parallel here in that um, everyone was always worried about someone secretly being a Russian. Or again, back in the 1950s, same thing. They were, because we were just hot off the heels of World War II, same thing. People were worried about these central powers. So they were worried about like people being in league with the Russians. So we had the Red Scare in Hollywood, and they were afraid of these groups with these extreme ideologies, getting power in whatever ways that they did, from espionage and secret societies and killing off their enemies. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, it was a real thing. And it was definitely, the people were still very much wary of like Germans and Russians, which is why later on when we do meet a character from Eastern Europe, she's also, I think they did that on purpose because they wanted us to think, oh, she must be like a Russian spy, you know?
Yeah, sleeper
Anyway,
agents, all
history
of those
soapbox.
concepts. Yeah. And look at how brilliant Agatha Christie is. She's weaving plot lines from real life into books. Like so crazy and so innovative and so aware of maybe trends. Yeah, we could call it like trends back then. The idea of espionage and secret spies and all of these, how do I say, these tantalizing, juicy, gossipy things. So basically, Bundle and her ally, Superintendent Battle, through a tangled web of figuring out espionage, through figuring out hidden motives, trying to understand if there's an international conspiracy involved, they kind of figure out what this entire Seven Dials is about. And since we promised you a spoiler free summary, we will let you figure out what is Seven Dials, why does
Yeah,
it
it's so
exist,
good. The
and
twists. The twists.
why were Jerry and Ronnie off?
Yes, you guys got to read
Dun,
it.
dun,
Or
dun.
listen to the audiobook. Like I said, the new version, it's going to have the poster, the image from the Netflix show with the actors on it. That's the one you want to listen to because, gosh, and I don't remember her name, the actress. Such a fantastic job
Mia
at,
McKenna Grace?
yes. Or no, is McKenna Grace? I think that's McKenna Grace's, but yeah, Mia, and not Mia Wasikowski.
Yeah, I'm
Anyway,
so sorry. Mia McKenna
it's,
Bruce.
yeah, yes.
Yeah, guys. Mia McKenna Bruce's version narrated audiobook. It's available on Audible. That's where I got it from. And Katie's already mentioned their library resources you can use in the
Mhm.
US. There are not a lot of library resources
Uh,
in India.
So, yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed it. I know it's a little shorter than we normally do, but hey, easier to digest. But we're also saving a lot more for the bonus videos. So please check those out as they come along. Check out our past stuff. That, yeah, I think we had a lot to say in episode 5 that I think also will link to this. But that was it. This was The Seven Dials Mystery. It's a book that feels light on the surface, but had a lot going on underneath.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, you go good old sport governors. This was amazing. In it. Please subscribe.
Yes. And learning about Agatha Christie's life, especially her disappearance, makes reading her work hit differently. Really learning more about her and her life, I appreciate her books even more. And I'm going to be definitely picking up more of them in future.
I mean, she's a peak Scorpio chick. Let's not forget, where would such an investigative mind come out of? Only a Scorpio brain.
That's
I
right.
hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Check out our other stuff. Thank you for watching / listening to Girl, What Did I Just Read? And we will see you next time.
Wonderful.
Perfect. This worked out then. Good. So you get a break. I got to go pack up my car.
Yeah.
Go sell cookies.